Today, for the very first time, I'm going to be listening to the album Long Lost by the band Lord Huron. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another album review / reaction here on my channel. If you've never seen a video like this before on my channel, know that basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about my expectations for the album, and then when we get to the actual album itself, I'm going to listen all the way through from front to back without pausing for the very first time, and I'll be giving you my thoughts in real time, sort of letting you know what I'm hearing production-wise, sort of just atmosphere-wise, different things about the mix and things like that. I don't usually talk about lyrics very much, but if I hear something that grabs me, I'll mention that. And then after we're done with the album, I'll give you sort of my overall thoughts or do my sort of album review, if you will. So with that in mind, in the description of this video, I will include timestamps to all the sort of different relevant sections. So if you want to skip to the when the album first starts, feel free to do that. If you want to skip all the way to the end to just hear my overall thoughts, feel free to do that as well. Also, I will include a timestamp for each individual track on the album. So if you have a favorite track you'd like to see my reaction to, feel free to skip to that as well. Another thing in the description of this video will be a link to listen along with me on Spotify. I never include any audio from the actual album itself because I don't want to get a copyright strike, and quite frankly, I don't actually know how channels on YouTube get away with uploading a whole album like that, let alone a whole song. So, if you're someone that knows how channels get away with doing that, let me know. I would love to include the music for you in the video, but as of right now, I don't really know how to do that, so let me know in the comments. But anyway, like I said, in the description of the video, I will include a link to listen along on Spotify, because Spotify is actually how we're going to be listening to the album today. And I have an interesting story with this album, but I'll get to in a second, so I'll just say right away that I have heard the first 2 songs of this album, actually. And it's kind of interesting. Like I said, I had never heard of the band Lord Huron, and a few months ago at this point, quite a while ago, I found out about this album and this band, and I, listened to a tiny little bit of it through an ad on Facebook, and I thought, that sounds pretty cool, sounds interesting, just maybe like 5 seconds or so. So I followed the link, found the album on Spotify, hit like, and I didn't think about it for a couple weeks. So, like I said, a couple weeks later, I sat down to sort of like go through my list and listen to a couple things and see if I could find something cool. And I started listening to it, and the first song just blew me away. It just absolutely floored me. It was old school spaghetti western sounding song. And it shocked me, and I was like, this is amazing. The production on this is very cool. They have committed 100% to this aesthetic for this song at least. And so then I listened to the second full-length song, because I think that there's between maybe every song or every other song, there's like a sort of like an instrumental track or something. It looked like on the album when I was looking through the track lengths. Every other song, I believe, is like shorter. So I think that there's like a little intermission kind of between each song. But when I listened to the second full-length song, it was the same way. And I was like, this is incredible. And so I listened to both of those songs. And when I got to the end of the second song, I thought, I can't listen to this right now. It's too good. It's more than I expected it to be. And so I put it away and forgot about it for a few weeks. And then I came back again a couple weeks later, and I was like, I'm going to give that album another shot. So I put it in, went to track 1, hit play, really enjoyed track 1. It got to track 2, which I believe is the first full-length song. Listened to it again, and I couldn't believe it. I could remember the song. I could sing along with it a little bit. And I just love the production. It totally blew me away. And so I got to the second song, and I started listening to it, and I was like, you know what? This is too good. I need to do a reaction to this, because if the rest of this album sounds as good as this is sounding, then I am in for a ride. And so I looked it up on Amazon to see how much it was to buy a copy of it, and I think it was like $15 or something. And I kind of was putting off purchasing the CD and putting it off. And I read a couple reviews, and people were saying that they didn't like it as much as some of the other Lord Huron albums, and that it was one review I specifically remember said that they thought they were frustrated that it sounded like there were all these tracks in the middle, which is something that definitely I think could could bother me with a bunch of little intermission tracks, but he said that it was meant to sound like an old-timey radio show. And I was like, man, that's even cooler than I thought it was initially. So here we are now, months after that, basically. I've been putting it off, trying to decide whether or not to buy the CD, and I think that I'm going to like this album enough that I definitely will purchase this CD eventually. But for now, we're getting near to this sort of Christmas season. It's not the time for me to buy things for myself. It's the time for me to buy presents for other people. So I'm putting it off, and I have to listen to this album all the way through, though, because I think this album could make it very easily into my top 12 albums of the year list, which is something I do here on my channel. If you want, you can go check out all the different videos on my channel, going all the way back almost 10 years to my different top 12 albums of the year list for the last decade or so. So you can look for that on my channel here if you're interested in that. But I really think that this Lord Huron album could make it on that list. So I knew I had to do it real quick, and I've been putting it off, like I said, but it's come to the point now where I've got to force it. So I'm going to just use my tablet and listen to it off of Spotify. So with that in mind, it disappears. With that in mind, I am going to be listening on the free version of Spotify. So if I get to any ads or anything while we're in it, we'll just have to work our way around that. But before we get to that, which I do want to get to that without much further delay, I just kind of was going through, I found a couple of old cowboy stuff here in my house. We have a ton of old, awesome cowboy books from back in the day. The American West, the Old West, is something that really has captured my attention the last decade or so. I love the Red Dead Redemption games. I love certain Western TV shows. Deadwood is one of my all-time favorites. Hell on Wheels, one of my all-time favorite TV shows. I love that sort of aesthetic. And one of the most special and unique parts of the Old West aesthetic are sort of the songs that capture that atmosphere, but also at the same time pay tribute to those times in our American history. And so I just went through some of my records here and picked out a few of these to just showcase real quick. This one is kind of an interesting record, and I'm not going to talk about these for very long. I'll just kind of go through them. But this is an interesting Western Christmas album that I thought is kind of neat to show off. It's just all Old West songs, basically Old West versions, sort of country-ish, but old-timey country, bluegrassy, sort of almost Americana style versions of like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Foom, 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 which is kind of cool. Wait for the Wagon on Christmas Day. I heard the bells on Christmas Day. Cheyenne, the Night Before Christmas song. Go Tell It on the Mountain. So it's some pretty cool stuff, and I just thought it might be nice to show that since we're at Thanksgiving season now, coming up on Christmas very soon. Then I have, what else did I have? I grabbed this record. This is Songs of America, including old cowboy favorites. It's been a while since I listened to this record, but basically just kind of an interesting record of old cowboy songs. On this album, the back doesn't have the songs listed. We have songs like Big Rock Candy Mountain, of course, Shoe Fly, Don't Bother Me, Bill Bailey, Won't You Please Come Home, Little Brown Jug, Listen to the Old Mockingbird. That's track 2. Track 1, Jack O'Diamonds, Yellow Rose of Texas, of course, The Old Pioneer, My Saddle, My Bronco, and You, Buffalo Gals, Polly Wolly Doodle. So stuff like that. Interesting. Definitely very much capturing the essence and the spirit of the Old West. We have, what else? Lorne Greene's American West, of course. Lorne Greene, everyone should know from the popular TV show Bonanza. I like Bonanza, not as much as Gunsmoke, of course. Gunsmoke is the OG. But Bonanza is still really cool, and not a lot of people know that Lorne Greene did some song singing. So this is kind of an interesting and unique album. Very cool. The songs on there are sort of what you would expect. We got 5-Card Stud, Cool Water, which is the cool, clear water. Great stuff. We got Justin Wilson. That's not really an Old West album, but who doesn't love Justin Wilson, though? That's more of a, I guess the Old West, sort of southern Louisiana, bayou stuff. But then we got this album I just think is kind of neat. It's a tribute to Hank Williams. Of course, Hank Williams, the very famous country star. This record is one of those neat colored records. Colored red, kind of neat. Hank Williams, probably an inspiration for the Lord Huron album, I would imagine. Then we get to one of my all-time favorite sort of old-timey feeling artists, and that is Roger Miller. If you're watching this video and you don't know who Roger Miller is, please look him up. One of my favorite all-time old-timey songs, Dang Me. Dang me, they ought to take a rope and hang me high from the tallest tree. Baby, would you weep for me? Great stuff. And if you don't know who Roger Miller is, I bet you're familiar with his voice because he was the voice. He did sing. What's the song he sang? On the road again. Just can't wait to get. No, that's Willie Nelson. I can't think. The other song that he sang is what? Oh, it's a song about driving, and I can't remember it. I'll think about it and put it on the screen here.
Man who means by no means king of the road.
Anyway, he is also the voice of the chicken or the rooster in Robin Hood, the animated Disney movie Robin Hood. He's the one that sings, "Every town has its ups and downs. Sometimes ups outnumber the downs, but not in Nottingham." Roger Miller, classic, amazing. Check him out if you're unfamiliar with him. And then we have one of the more sort of influential albums actually in my getting into sort of country music and old-timey sort of Americana bluegrass stuff. And that is the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band's album, Uncle Charlie. This is their famous album that has Mr. Bojangles on it and a lot of other really amazing songs. But this actual LP here is one of the very first records I ever got, and it is one my uncle gave to me, and it's sort of one of the things that started my love of the Old West. I got this right at the same time that the first Red Dead Redemption game came out, and also Deadwood, and also a show that is amazing, and I should have brought over here, called The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr., which I highly recommend, starring, what's the actor's name? The actor that plays Sam in Burn Notice, and also, what's his name in the Evil Dead's franchise? Bruce Campbell. The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr., starring Bruce Campbell. Go look up a trailer for it. It looks kind of campy and cheesy, and it is. But like on a deeper level, that show's actually really, really, really cool. The sci-fi elements that they mix with the Old West is really neat. So all that sort of superfluous stuff out of the way, let's get to this album here. I don't have much to say. I don't know anything about the band Lord Huron at all. I know literally nothing. All I know is that this album is probably going to be on my top 12. And like I said, I have heard the first 2 tracks and absolutely, absolutely loved it. So I know I'm not going to be surprised with the first 2 tracks. However, everything after that is a mystery to me. And I'm really hoping that it sticks with the sort of spaghetti western sound that it had on those first 2 tracks. You know, I'm pretty sure that it would be an incredible change in direction production-wise if the songs all of a sudden started to have more modern-sounding drums and all these synthesizers and everything all over it. So I'm really hoping we get a full album of this awesome old-timey spaghetti western sounding, Sergio Leone type of Inicio Morricone sort of sounding music. I absolutely love it. The twangy guitars, the tremolo on the guitar. Dwayne Eddy. I should have brought out some of my Dwayne Eddy records. I have a whole bunch of them in a crate down here. Dwayne Eddy, my favorite guitarist of all time. The godfather of twang, he's known as. All the really neat twangy guitar. I'm just talking about it without even knowing. Let's get into listening to it. But I just thought before I do that, I have to go grab something really quick. Hold on one second. I'll be right back. And here we have my beverage of choice for this video. I have some ice in a frozen glass, some Mountain Dew Voltage. I mean, sarsaparilla. I probably shouldn't lean too hard into the Old West theme, but I'm excited. And if I'm being totally 100% honest, I've showed the first track, the first full-length song on this album to my folks. So I've heard it actually more than twice. The old, if you ever want to see my face again, I want to know, or something like that. I just want to say, the other day I did a reaction to an album, the Joke Jay's album, Awaken. It's a double album. It is my number one album of the year so far. No, we're nearing the end of November, and I have a few big albums to listen to yet, for sure. So something could unseat that as my album of the year. This is honestly one of the only albums that I think could do it. If every song on this album, and I didn't go through and count how many songs were full-length songs, how many tracks are full-length songs. If every full-length song on this album is as good as the first two songs, this album could be my number one. It may end up being my number two or number three, but we'll see. If something crazy happens and it takes a different direction, I don't know what's going to happen. But we'll see. All right. I'm pulling up my Spotify. Like I said before, if I end up getting an ad, what I'll do is I will cut the ad out. I'm hoping that I will. I'm sure. How long is this album? It is 58 minutes and 13 seconds. So we will definitely get an ad regardless. But I'm hoping I get one of them 30-minute ads where you have 30 minutes of music for with ad-free music. So hopefully we get one of those. But I'm hitting track 1. I'll tell you when it's starting to play, right? Ad. Be back in 1 second. Okay, the ad's about to be over. Track 1 is starting with 33 minutes of ad-free music right now. The Moon Doesn't Mind. Track 1. I'm going to move the mic a little closer to me here. There we go. It's not a very loud album, and I want some bleed in the headphones so you can hear a little bit with me if you're not listening along on Spotify. So this is an interesting way to start this album for sure, with these sort of like synth pads, and then it kind of goes away, and we have some acoustic guitar here, right in the middle. That reverb is everything to why this sounds old-timey. There's a little distortion on the vocal and on the reverb a little bit too. And those strings too. I don't know if they're real strings. That twangy electric guitar, amazing. Again, about Dwayne Eddy. All right, we're getting to that first track, baby. Got some claps. Track 2. Down, 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 down. Bom, 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 bom. Love it. Love the lead electric guitar. The not too distorted at all electric guitar with some twang. Oh, it's just the right amount of distortion on the vocals to make it feel vintage. This is a vintage vocal sound, and I love it. Then we have off to the side, and I should mention this extra cable I have here switches the stereo signal on my headphones, so I apologize if I say something's on the left and it's actually on the right for you, but I'll try to keep that in mind when I talk about the stereo image here. All the ooh, oh, in the background, so great. The drums very dry. But also one thing I want to point out, listen to the drummer. Listen to the drums. He is not playing the drums hard at all. And that's contributing to the drum, getting the drum sound that they like, that they wanted for this. which is absolutely perfect in my opinion. That sort of blooming string there. If I ever get my CD copy of this, which I hope I will, be interesting to see if the strings were real strings. It sounds very authentically real. Female backing vocals, love it, and they're not over compressed. So when she pops, that reverb on her voice is being activated more when she's getting louder, and because it's a fast little pop, you hear the reverb sort of, and it's a neat effect that you don't get very often in modern music because everything is so compressed into a solid bar, which I think is what a lot of music nowadays calls for. You know, I'm not one of those people that says over-compressing music is always bad. Maybe over-compressing is bad, but compressing music a lot, sometimes music that you're working on, that you're mixing and editing, requires it to be compressed a lot. Like metal or electronic music. I remember the first time I heard this song, I was listening to it and I was like, all right, the song's winding down. It's pretty cool. All right. And then it comes back in with the refrain. And that's kind of an interesting thing to note, the difference between a chorus and a refrain. I remember looking this up on Wikipedia, so I believe that's where I got this from. So hopefully this information is correct. Looked it up years ago, but a chorus and a refrain are both repeated parts that happen throughout a song, but the chorus is more of a known for being a little bit more of like a vocal part, but not necessarily a vocal, but a bit of more of a fuller part. A refrain is just more like a repeated musical phrase, whether it's being sung or more likely than not played on an instrument. I forgot that the song faded out. That's a real big bummer to me. Fading out a song is never acceptable under any circumstances whatsoever. There's no creative reason to do that. Okay, so it faded out. Now we have some strings again here, or a synth pad maybe. And then some French. Very interesting. I don't know where Lord Huron is from. I mean, if Lake Huron is somewhere, I believe, around the New York area. Could be totally wrong. Is it one of the Great Lakes? I'm not sure. All right, track 3, One Hell of a Performer. This is a little 20-second track. Love Me Like You Used To. Oh, that bum, 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 bum. So classic old Western. I love how the drums are not overwhelming at all. You know, these songs feel like they could have come from an older generation. Even though there are some interesting, like, delayed effects and things like that that wouldn't have been done, you know, back in the 40s, 50s, 60s. Turn it up a notch. There comes the kick. Nice. Oh. Nice octave there on the guitars. A little harmony part. Now we have the bass in there too, along with the kick. Came in with the kick. Boom, 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 boom. The overdubbing on the vocals too. It's there, it's subtle. It almost sounds like it's one person singing, and I believe it is the vocalist overdubbing himself. But oh, it's so tasty. The background, straight out of a old West spaghetti Western movie soundtrack. Bit more of a distortion on the guitar here for a little solo. Those oohs in the back are really doing a nice job tying everything together. And that electric guitar is still in there. Boom, ba-dum, bum, bum. Bum, 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 bum. It just feels so nostalgic. I really hope the rest of the album sonically sounds like this. I don't know what else I want them to do really other than write good, awesome songs like this, but, you know, maybe we could have a couple of ballads where it's a little bit more down-tempo, fewer instruments in the songs, maybe a song that's a little bit more about the vocal arrangement, more harmonies and whatnot. I hope this song, every song doesn't fade out. I really hope that. I don't remember if this one does or not. So good. So tasty. I love the twangy guitars. I cannot explain to you. I wish more bands used them nowadays. I really do. Nice retardando there at the end. Nice. All right, from here on out, we are in uncharted territory, baby. Give me good songs. Oh, full song it looks like. Oh, yes, more trudging feeling. Now it feels like we're lost in the desert. It's hot. It's hot, and we don't have any water. But maybe we see the oasis in the distance. Oh. Oh, I love it. That reverb is back from the first track, a little bit more pronounced. And it's dead center mono, the reverb. I love it. And I want to say again, it's the non-over compression, the correct amount of compression on everything that's really doing a nice job. All the instruments are relying on their playing to bring their dynamic level up and down. They're playing and he's singing very dynamically. If they want a note to sound louder, they attack it harder, they play it louder, rather than having everything be compressed. Tasty. And that sounds like the tom drums have something over the top of them, maybe like a blanket or some sort of like a thin cloth or something to deaden the sounds. And then on the sort of, could be some brushes on the cymbal maybe. Again, nothing is being played hard or intensely until they want it to be played more intensely. That is a mark of true musicianship, I think. One of the hallmarks of it. And those strings just there constantly, I love it. They're very dynamic. They build and come back, and then build and come back. Little guitar solo here. Ooh. Are you kidding me? That is Ennio Morricone all over the place. I guess I should also say I'm not sure how to actually pronounce Ennio Morricone. or Marconi. I've never actually heard the name spoken out loud, just seen it written down. Thought it was Ennio Morricone, but now that I say that, I'm like, I could be wrong. So I apologize if I'm saying that wrong. Total icon and legend. I should know how to pronounce it, but every one of these songs is lasting longer than I have been thinking that it would, and I love that. Okay. This is the third full-length song, but I believe it's track 5. So we're going into the next track. Letting it build. You can really hear the tremolo there on the sound of the guitar. Right, next track right now. 4 seconds. Okay, this is Long Lost, the title of the album. Okay. Oh, that piano. Oh, I love that. The trilling. And I want to just point out the overall beat of the song, the groove of the song. It's boom, 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 ching, boom, 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 tambourine, boom, 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 tambourine. That's a very familiar sounding Old West groove. I'm not sure what it's called exactly. Boom, boom, ting, boom, boom, boom. Those strings sound... I can't tell if they're real strings or not. I really can't. It sounds like they are. It sounds like they've got to be. Oh. We're adding different things on the sides of the mix now. We still... Oh. Hey! Oh! Awesome. The strings are mono. In the middle. Love it. Oh. The vocal harmonies are exactly what you want them to be, though, as well. They are cowboy harmonies. That violin is really nice in this song. More vocals on the side. I'll bet it was so fun to record this. The mixing engineer, though, I bow down. You have done exactly what you wanted to do. This is a conscious effort to record this album and mix it just like this so that it sounds like this. And I know that sounds obvious. I know that probably sounds ridiculous. Of course, they recorded and mixed the album so that it would sound the way they wanted it to. That is not necessarily easy. What you're doing is going for a sound that has a particular character to it, a particular ambiance to it, to take you and put you somewhere. I would be willing to bet that they probably used a lot of vintage gear to record this. And if not, that's where the mixing comes in and the editing. That's so cool to have the vocals, you know, mirror Oh, that's so cool. The violin and the vocals, the background vocals doing that. Oh, that's awesome. We got some lower vocals in there, which is always really nice. When you ma. Oh, amazing. And the whole time the song kept that boom, 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 boom. Okay, track. Next song right now, 20 long years. Oh, to tell you. This is making me feel the same way I felt the first time I heard a Pokey Lafarge album. Now, I'm not saying that this sounds like Pokey Lafarge. If you don't know who that is, just go look him up. You'll thank me that you did. It's someone committing 100% to trying to have their music have this aesthetic that fits in a particular decade or a particular old-time style. So this song, strumming acoustic guitar. Oh, I have always wanted an album like this. I have always wanted a band to have every song be like it sounded like it was coming from the soundtrack to a spaghetti western, but done classy and tastefully, paying tribute to everything that came before it, not doing a parody of it. And this song is telling a story. Oh my goodness. And I have to say, too, I went back and listened to some samples, just real quick samples of some of the older Lord Huron albums. It did not sound like this at all. At all. How did this album come out of this band? Oh, the slide guitar. They came back to the chorus again for a third time. Building it up with extra layers of vocals. Not the full chorus, just the last line. Okay, that's the last note of the song, I think, but we still have 30 seconds. Next track now. Drops in the Lake. Nice. Got some ooh. Love it. Okay, more distortion on the voice a little bit. Oh, I love the xylophone or the glockenspiel type sound on the side. Ooh, the strings, the tension. The tremolo on the guitar. Oh. Brushes on the drums. Massive kick. I love it. Oh, I have always wanted an album like this. I have searched. I have never heard an album like this. Oh, nice rhyming scheme there. Yes, give me the low, twangy guitar. Make Dwayne Eddy proud. I hope Dwayne Eddy has heard this album because I'll bet you he loved it. You mean he's like 93 or so? Oh. Oh, that vocal. The female backing vocal. Oh my goodness. Oh. Oh. Give me some more of that low guitar. Boom, boom, boom. Yes. Oh. Oh. Oh, I'm so glad they ended it with her doing that again. Oh. Beautiful. Utterly beautiful. Next track. Where did the time go? Okay, this is only a minute and a half, so. Very simple. Oh, I didn't expect any vocals here. Oh, that tremolo on the guitars, it just means so much to adding to the atmosphere of what's happening. Ooh. Nice. Just a nice, simple little song. Where are we going to go from there? Not Dead Yet. Okay, a bit more of a distortion. Faster tempo. Multiple takes of a guitar strumming. Okay. Oh. Gonna build it a little bit. Oh. Oh, I love it. Nice tambourine there. Constant vocal harmonies. Just playing on the hi-hat. With the strumming. I love it. Oh my goodness, it's good. Oh, I love this. I'm not looking anymore at how long the songs are because I don't want that to impact my... I imagine this will be a shorter one, though, since it's much faster. The claps. Up another then they got a ba-da-dum, ba-da-da-da-da-da-dum, ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum, da-da-da-da-da-da-dum, da-da. This is so amazing, it feels like I've heard it a million times before, but I've never heard it yet. This is so amazing. I've said it before. When you hear a song and you know you're hearing it for the first time and it feels like an old friend, it feels like you've heard it before, you know that is good writing. Next track. Oh, we have our advertisement. Hold on. We're getting an ad. Be back in a sec. Here we go, deep down inside. A little bit of a sample here. I Lied with Alison Pontier. Give me a good old duet. An old-fashioned duet. I was just listening to a Nancy Sinatra and Lee Hazelwood album earlier. Of course, I was also listening to We Butter the Bread with Butter, so... That distorted sort of reverb is there again. In the middle, mono. You'll now love that hose in the background. What's the lady gonna sound like? Give it to me. I want her to sound. Oh, I don't know what I want her to sound like. Old timey country, I guess. Nice violins. Some of the stuff is this song is feels a little bit different. There's a little bit less layering and sort of a flowy feel to it, less flowy feel. Okay, I thought maybe the lady would be singing the second verse, a call and response thing, really, but no. Oh yeah, I love it. Oh, I have said so many times in so many videos that I think one of the least appreciated areas of all of music, the most overlooked area of all of music, is background vocals. And this is perfection. Yes. Morning. She's got that Southern Belle sound. Oh, I love it. You think it's a love song, but it's not. Oh, that's nice. That was a bit of a modern harmony there. Build it up. Keep building. Oh, nice. Oh, wow. All right, next track. Dang. I don't want this to end ever. I don't know how many tracks we got left. At Sea. Oh, only a minute and 35 seconds. Okay. Just a simple guitar. Oh, okay, now we have a... Oh, everything came in. All right. A bit more of like a slide guitar there, so we're getting a little bit of a Hawaiian feel to it. More of an islandy sound. Something that is oddly tied to old-timey country music. Very interesting. Modern country music as well, with something like the Zac Brown Band, which is actually the last time I wore my cowboy hat a couple videos ago. I actually enjoy these sort of smaller interludes. Obviously, I wish every track was 5 minutes long so that we'd be full song, going back to the chorus multiple times, repeating parts, but... Okay, next track. What Do It Mean? Oh boy. This track's 6 minutes long. I gotta look how much more we have. There's only 2 more tracks left, and I'm hoping both of them are full-length songs, because if not, I will think this album might feel a little short, even though I know it's an hour long. Nice. Again, another song that's got that same beat. Boom, 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 tsh, boom, 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 tsh, boom, 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 tsh. I like that. That. Da da da. I like that. Verse 2. We have the strings and everything here, all the elements that we had during each of these full-length songs, minus the one we just listened to, the I Lied with the female guest vocalist. All the other songs have had these elements in them, so it does feel very cohesive. Nice little bass part there. I will say this song definitely feels like it's a bit derivative of the songs that have come before it on the album. I mean, every song that I've heard thus far, even the short tracks, every song feels like it was its own unique thing with its own individual ideas. This song kind of feels like it's putting a lot of those things together in one song. And it's fading out, which means it's got a worthless ending, so bit of a bummer. I'm hoping we still get one more full-length track. The fact that it's fading out so early means that maybe we'll get a little bit of a something now, then going into the last track. Crowd coming back in. All right, what do we got? So long, good luck, goodbye. Okay, that just is That part's done now, and we're just got some strings still playing here. Very cool. And we still got another 40 seconds, so very interesting. Ooh. Okay, we still got like another... Maybe that's supposed to be the end of the album. There's one more track, though, so we'll see what that is. We got it in 3, 2, 1. No, an advertisement? We listened for another half hour? That was another half hour? It couldn't have been. We might have the album, the last song coming up. Right here. Time's Blur. What the heck? 14 minutes and 18 seconds long. You're going to give me a 14-minute song? That's fine. Probably not. We'll see what this is, though. Fading in so far. Love it. Interesting. We just got some sort of like some synths with some knob twiddling, basically, adjusting some things on the fly. Very cool sounds, though, I will say. Kind of ominous, but also a little hopeful at the same time. The chord that's being used or the specific notes. We're already a minute 40 into this. They wouldn't have this be the whole 14 minutes, would they? It's called Time's a Blur. Time's Blur. Like Time's Blur, the blur of the time. I'm going to skip. I'm going to skip ahead. 429. Got some strings and stuff in there. I'm at 8 minutes. Pretty ominous sounding. It's the whole thing, isn't it? Okay, we're building at like 10 and a half minutes. Wow, okay. All right, very disappointing there. 58 minutes and 13 seconds. That's a lie. Let me get a piece of paper and pencil real quick and do a little bit of quick math here. Hold on one sec. Okay, I really felt like that was too short. I do not care for short, like minute and a half long songs, but in this case, I did enjoy those tracks as little between things. So I'm going to do a little bit of math here. So Mine Forever is 4 minutes and 48 seconds. Then we have another track, then 340, 354, 444, 445, 450, 401. Oh, there's 3 songs there. Where this time doesn't 33, right down to separate categories, there's 2 songs like that. Not Jada is 257. Another track. I Lied 354. At Sea was a minute 35, so that's another short one. Then we have the big long one at 553, but actually it was about 5 minutes long. And then the 14-minute thing doesn't count. So, okay. So we have One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine full-length songs. Sorry, the mic was over there. I apologize for all of that. We have 9 full-length songs, then 2 half-length songs. So we'll say that combined, that's another song. So we'll say roughly 10 songs. Now that time together equals what? Okay, I am back. Adding time was not as, as simple as I remembered it being, but I have the numbers here for us to break this down. So, of the 9 songs, if you take the 9 full-length songs, they add up to be a total of 37 minutes and 49 seconds long. So that 58 minutes that the album says it is actually very misleading. Now, I did calculate if we want to add in the 2 sort of minute and a half long songs, the minute 33 one and the minute 35 one, that would bring the total amount of the album up of actual songs to 40 minutes and 57 seconds. Now, that is still really good. That's still, 40 minutes is it's not the longest album I've listened to this year by a large mile, but it's also not the shortest either, Poppy's album was, I can't remember how long that was exactly, but that was only 9 songs as well. No, whatever, I'm not going to look for it, but I think hers was considerably shorter. I mean, the album I always go to is the first Linkin Park album, Hybrid Theory. That album is less than 30 minutes long. So this is definitely a full-length album. However, the 58-minute running time, I feel, is cheapened by a almost 15-minute song at the end that really didn't serve much purpose. I could see it being like a kind of a neat ambient thing, and it did sound like it built, even though I skipped through it. That leaves me with a bad taste in my mouth. And so I'm really conflicted here at the end because you know, 37 minutes is still, it was still 37 of the best minutes. Like I said, that last song, now that I know that it was the last song, I thought that there was a track after that. But that last song, last full-length song that was an actual song with instruments and everything, felt kind of like a combination of all the songs that were before it, kind of almost like it was rehashing some of the melodies and things. And so knowing that now that that was actually the last track, I think that kind of makes that song a little bit better, because that was probably the only time I was bored a little bit listening to one of the actual songs being played. I feel like the other 8 full-length songs on the album totally grabbed my attention. They were completely unique amongst themselves, amongst each other. And they did a great job doing what they needed to do. So I think I have a negative feeling in my soul at the moment, just because I wanted this album to be long and I wanted it to feel consistent throughout. And that 14-minute track at the end throws me off, and I didn't even listen to the whole thing. And having that sort of the pieces added onto, I didn't even try to calculate that, any of the pieces that were after the songs were over. You know, I'm really disappointed. The first track, the first full-length song, and the last real song on the album did fade out. But I can kind of understand that they were going for that aesthetic, and even though there is no excuse to fade no good excuse to fade a song out at all, in my opinion, ever in any decade, any set of circumstances. I don't care how much time you could physically fit onto a 45 record. You know, I don't like that. There are no limitations or restrictions like that now. So even if you are going for some sort of an old-timey aesthetic, I don't like the fading out. But having it only be 2 of the songs, however, that's 2 out of 9 full-length songs. That leaves us with only 7 songs that are full-length songs that don't fade out. So now I'm not saying that the 2 songs that do fade out are completely worthless. I really like that first one. And I like the last one too. I'm just holding it up to the high standard of the 8 songs that came before it. And really, I did enjoy those 2 half-length songs as well. So I'm going to just go ahead and include that in my thought process here. I really, really wish there would have been one more song that was maybe a little bit more minimalistic, with just some acoustic guitar and singing. You know, I know there were several times on the album where that was mainly what was happening, but then everything else kind of came in, which I really did enjoy. I do enjoy songs like that build. But I really wish that there would have been one more song, and it would have been, they could have found some other way to make one more song nice and unique, and then have that last track feel sort of like the culmination of everything. That would have been really nice. And I could have almost done with a whole instrumental track on the album that was sort of a 2.5-3 minute long song. Let the musicians, the guitar players, be a little bit more creative. I would have really enjoyed that. So, gosh, I hate that I'm feeling negative about this, only because, like I said at the beginning of the video, this could be my number one album of the year. It definitely is not my number one album of the year now that I've heard these sort of things that leave the bad taste in my mouth. You know, when I listened to that Joke J album, every song blew me away. It was a double album, which means it was double length. I think it was 150 minutes or so. I'm not sure exactly how long it was. It was quite long, maybe not 150 minutes, but it was quite long. Each maybe 125 minutes or so. Shoot, maybe that sounds wrong. Maybe it was around 100. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The length of it's not what was important. It's the fact that it was 21 basically full-length songs. One of them was an instrumental, short instrumental. But basically it was a bunch of full-length songs, repeated the choruses. The structuring was exactly what I wanted. Every song was surprising. Every song had its own individual, unique flavor. And I really enjoyed that album from front to back, top to bottom, the entire thing. This album, like the highest highs of this album, I would say surpass the highest highs of the Joke J album, because I've said it multiple times during when I was listening there. I have always wanted a band to do this, to make a spaghetti Western band album. Spaghetti Western songs with vocals, with lyrics, and the fact that they did all the vocals with the amazing background vocals in every single song had the perfect oohs and ahs, and they were changing from from the oohs to the ahs to the ohs and to the exactly what it needed to be. And then the several songs that had that woman doing the background vocals as well, totally amazing. The duet song, I think, was really nice. I think it could have been a little bit more. It would have been nice if there was kind of a song where they were playing against each other a little bit more. So that I think leaves a little bit wanting, but what they did was still really, really good. And I'm glad that song's on this album because it adds that little bit of diversity, and that track does stand out from all the rest of them. So, I was thinking the whole time I was listening to that, my uncle is one of the most stubborn music lovers that I know. I'm sure everyone watching this knows someone like this. They just think all good music stopped basically at 1980, maybe even earlier, 1970, and that everything since then has been absolute garbage. And I know that it's kind of cheating to take something like this that seems like it was from a decade that he would enjoy and show it to him, to say, hey, look, this is proof that they still make great music, which I believe the greatest music of all time is being made right now as I speak these words and you hear them. I truly believe that every day the greatest album of all time is being recorded. I do believe that, and I just haven't necessarily heard it yet. I believe it's out there, and the potential is out there for forever. And so, that's what I believe. I love listening to new music that just came out, was just released, of all different genres. That's me. But the whole time I was listening and I was thinking, which of these songs would I try to show my uncle who's going to be coming for Thanksgiving in a couple days? Which of these songs would I show my uncle to say, like, hey, listen to this, I think you'll like it? And I couldn't really decide because every song had its own unique flavor to it that really made me love it. The only downside to this at all is that I feel the album was a little bit short. And again, that's saying that with even 40 minutes of really good music, 37 minutes of full-length songs, then that extra 3 minutes of those two extra bonus sort of half-length songs. So, man, I don't know. I almost think I would have felt better without that 14-minute track at the end. Like if the album was just 40 minutes and 50 seconds long or whatever, that's not, by the way, that's not calculating any of the tracks that were just like several, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, or the 20 some seconds that some of the sort of interludes were. I'm just skipping all that totally. So I'm not even calculating that in. I didn't mind any of those things. I think that actually kind of added to the story of what was happening a little bit, and I enjoyed the aesthetic of those. I think they were done in the style of the album, kind of with the sort of playing with along with the radio show, someone sort of introducing things. I actually kind of enjoyed that. It didn't get in the way of the actual songs, and I feel like almost every time there was a clear that ends and the next track starts. And so to me, that's not very egregiously, a very big problem. Because I don't like that kind of stuff when if it's on like a hip hop album or a mixtape, for example. I don't like it when stuff bleeds from one track into the next, into the next, into the next. And, you don't really have that clear beginning, middle, end, then the next track beginning, middle, end. I don't like it like that very much. It was a concept album, very interesting. Like I said, the production was amazing. The reverb was incredible. All the effects were exactly what they needed to be to fit the aesthetic of what they were going for. It is not easy to pick a sound like this and then say, we're going to make a whole album that is this thing. And I think they did beautifully. I think everything was mono and exactly where it needed to be in the mix to be perfect. It sounded like a modern record, even though it also at the same time sounded like an old sort of like had this old vintage, old West cowboy spaghetti Western sound to it. It was made using modern stuff, and you could tell like there were moments where certain things really shined in the mix, and they never would have been able to do that with the way albums were mixed back in the old days, more sort of just like focusing on the vocals and a couple things. So the layering, the overdubbing, all that stuff was really taking advantage of nice modern technology to make an amazing throwback sounding album that I truly, truly do feel like nailed exactly what it was going for from front to back. The last track and the opening track really until it played a little bit and then it kind of cut off and then the guy started talking. Interesting knowing that I think it was probably even the same track that started the album that ended the album, but that 14 minutes at the end, I don't know, that's some sort of that's a weird choice. And I shouldn't harp on that because I was just saying I think I'd like it better if it wasn't even there. Well, I can just choose to ignore that. I will never listen to that track probably again unless I have it on while I'm like cleaning or something and I leave it on to be atmospheric or something. And I'm not saying there's not talent and stuff put into that track either. I didn't really listen to it all the way through because it was a little frustrating once I found out that there wasn't a hidden song somewhere in that 14 minutes. But yeah, I don't know. I cannot say where this album will fall on my list. I think it will definitely make it into my list of top 12 because it is so special, but the dirty taste that it left in my mouth is disappointing at the moment. I need to go back and listen to it more, I think maybe I was thrown off a little bit by the fact that I've heard the first two songs multiple times now. And so maybe I'm not even really factoring them in with the new songs that I just heard, because I know that those 9 songs, those 9 full-length songs, every one of them was really awesome. And in a year where there are some bands releasing just 9-track albums, to have an album that did have however many tracks it had, 13, 14, with those little intermissions, those 2 bonus, so like a minute and a half long songs. And then, of course, that waste of time, in my opinion, 15-minute track at the end. I know the length shouldn't bother me very much, but I saw 58 minutes and I got really excited. So, But still, 40 minutes of incredible music is 40 minutes of incredible music, so... Well, you'll have to wait and see when I do my top 12 albums of the year video later on at the beginning, maybe middle of December. You'll have to see where I put this album. Thank you very much for watching the video. I have a few bands that I need to do reactions for before the beginning of December so I can get working on my list. I've still got Lord of the Lost. I've got Star Set. I've got the new Dave Gahan and the Soul Savers album. And I think that might actually, I was thinking about doing Casey Musgraves, but I might not do a reaction to that. I was listening a little bit the last few nights to the new Alison Krauss and Robert Plant album that I'm enjoying, but not as much as their T-Bone produced album. Anyway, got all that stuff coming up. Excited to work on my list. And yeah, thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you next time.